All right. Well, it's once again a great pleasure to uh, have the people back. I know we had a great Shabbat last week with the whole RCA assembly crew and a great uh, teaching that was given last week uh, through Brother Elder Mashard. Um, he has a great way of giving his word and everything. But we are this week getting ready to go to back to our study. So our study this week, which I'm looking and I'm hoping that
Numbers.
yeah, it's numbers. It's not the numbers that I'm looking for. It is the glasses, which I don't know if I brought.
Oh. Okay.
So I can see the numbers. All right. Well, I was not so great to do so. So anyhow, but we'll go ahead and move forward. So I might have to ask for some help on reading today.
Okay, let me grab my Bible, so don't ask me to read anything. Hold on.
I'm going to ask you to read. You just better hurry up and get it.
I'm rushing too.
Yeah, I see.
Sorry, I almost ran. Well, I just ran close to time. I got outside today. I was like, let me get on the grill. And wasn't prepared really. All right.
Yeah,
All right, I'm ready.
It happens. All right. All right. Everybody there?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. We were supposed to read Numbers chapter 8 through 12:16.
Yes.
Then Zechariah chapter 2. That's going to be a good one. And it looks like we go through chapter 4, or up to chapter 4, verse 7, and then Matthew 14. So this is going to be a good week in the information that we're talking about. And because of what we're getting ready to talk about, I'm going to go here and do a change in my virtual. All right. I don't know if you can make out what that is, but if you can't, it is what we'll be talking about today, which is the moon.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I'll go ahead and start us out in chapter 8. And I'll read that one. It says, and Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, speak to Aaron and say to him, when you set up the lamps, let the 7 lamps give light in the front of the lampstand. And Aaron did so, and they set up the lamps to face toward the front of the lampstand. So as Yahuwah commanded Moshe. And this is the work of the lampstand. Beaded work of gold from its base to its blossoms. It is beaten work according to the pattern which Yahuwah had shown Moshe. So he made the lampstand. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, take the Levites from among the children of Israel, and you shall cleanse them, and do this to them to cleanse them. Sprinkle water of sin offering on them, and they shall shave all their body, and shall wash their garments, and cleanse themselves, and shall take a young bull with its grain offering, fine flour mixed with oil, while you take another young bull as a sin offering. And you shall bring the Levites before the tent of meetings, and you shall assemble all the congregation of the children of Israel. And you shall bring the Levites before Yahuwah and the children of Israel, and shall lay their hands on the Levites. And Aaron shall wave the Levites before Yahuwah a wave offering from the children of Israel. So shall they be doing this. So shall they be for doing the service of Yahuwah. And the Levites shall lay their hands on the heads of the young bulls, and one shall be prepared for sin offering, and the other as a burnt offering to Yahuwah to make atonement for the Levites. And you shall have the Levites stand before Aaron and his sons, and then wave them a wave offering to Yahuwah. Thus you shall separate the Levites from among the children of Israel, and the Levites shall be mine. Then after that, the Levites shall go to do the service of the tent of meetings when you have cleansed them and waved them as a wave offering. For they are given to me from among the children of Israel. And I have taken them for myself instead of all who open the womb, the firstborn of the children of Israel. For all the firstborn of the children of Israel, mine, both man and beast, on the day that I smote all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, I set them apart unto myself. And I have taken the Levites instead of all the firstborn of the children of Israel. I have given the Levites as a gift to Aaron and his sons from among the children of Israel to do the service of the children of Israel in the tent of meetings, and to make atonement for the children of Israel, that there be no plague among the children of Israel when the children of Israel come near the set apart place. Thus Moshe and Aaron and all the congregation of the children of Israel did to the Levites according to all that Yahuwah commanded Moshe, according to the Levites, so the children of Israel did to them. And the Levites cleansed themselves and washed their garments, and Aaron waved them a wave offering before Yahuwah, and Aaron made atonement for them to cleanse them. Then after that, the Levites went to do their service in the tent of meetings before Aaron and his sons, as Yahuwah commanded Moshe concerning the Levites, so they did to them. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, this applies to the Levites from 25 years old and above. Let them come into active service in the service of the tent of meetings. And at the age of 50, they retire from active service of the service and serve no more. But they shall attend with their brothers in the tent of meetings to guard the duty, but shall do no service. Thus they shall do to the Levites regarding their duties. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right. So what do we have going on here?
Instructions.
Instructions for
Cleansing.
For cleansing. Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah. But who's being cleansed?
The children of Israel.
Yeah. Children of Israel. The ones who are, and they are sent there in place of who?
The Levites sent their place of the firstborn.
Right. So when
And in beast.
why is the firstborn important?
Yah always wants the first and the best.
Yeah, he always asks for the first. That's part of what the wave offering was for. The first fruits were supposed to be a wave offering. The first fruit off the tree was a wave offering to Yah. So these are given as a wave offering also for the first fruits of Israel. Why did Yah say that the first fruit belonged to him?
The small firstborn in the land of Egypt.
Yeah.
And it's apart from himself.
Yeah. So he went up there and he killed the firstborn in the land of Egypt. Why was that significant? What was significant, does anybody know, about the firstborn in the land of Egypt?
Well, that's what happened at the Passover.
Right.
He had told them what they were to the people, all the people in Egypt or Mitzrayim, what they were to do. And he also said, mark your houses with the blood of life. So the death angel would pass over.
Okay.
And
Otherwise,
the angel was coming to take every firstborn, Pharaoh's on down.
Okay. So what,
First
man and beast.
yeah, man and beast. So why was the firstborn important to Pharaoh?
Well, the
Yes.
firstborn would be the next in succession to the throne, wouldn't it?
Maybe.
Or-
And I'm asking. I'm asking. I
I'm
have
just
to
saying.
answer. I'm just trying to remember if you guys remember all the stuff that we went over, because this is all a part of that. In order to be Pharaoh, what did you have to be?
A man.
No, there were female pharaohs.
You had to be the firstborn.
Right. You had to be the firstborn. And so, and that's how they were able to, and Pharaoh was considered a god himself. So
Yeah.
when we look at the plagues, as they are termed throughout, Christianity and everything else, the way it's been interpreted in the Bible, these plagues weren't so much plagues that just came that, God's like, okay, well, let me turn this green bucket blue, just to show my power. Let me, turn this chair into a wheel or anything like that. He had purpose for the things that he did. And the purpose for that was because each of those plagues, as they call them, were actually his acts against the deities that those plagues represented. So they had plagues of the crops. I mean, they had deities of the crops, deities of the water, deities of the animals, and all this other stuff. And Yah showed that the deity that they were serving, to say, oh, this is the deity that brings us water. So Yah showed that he was Elohim of those deities. When it came to the livestock, he showed that he was the Elohim of that deity. When it came to the crops of the field, he showed that. And as we go down, the last deity, which the deity that was supposed to reign supreme, is Pharaoh. He was supposed to be the deity of all of them, which dealt with the firstborn. Yah showed that he was Elohim of that also, by destroying Pharaoh and all his children, all the firstborn, because in order to be Pharaoh, you had to be a firstborn. And so when Yah went up there and showed that he would wipe out all the firstborn, that was a direct attack on Pharaoh and his deity, to let him know that Yah was Elohim over him also. So if you notice that whenever they came and they would do stuff, Pharaoh would be like, yeah, I'll give in. And then he's like, who's Yah that I should bow down to him, that I should listen to him? And so when Yah spared the firstborn of Israel, he says, I want you guys to know that these firstborn are mine. They will come and serve me. Does anybody remember when Yah replaced them with the Levites? Anybody remember what took place?
Nope.
No.
Replace
Come on,
who with the Levites?
Huh? When he replaced the firstborn with the Levites and said that let us put the Levites in here.
When he was given the land.
When he was given the land, they ain't in the land yet.
No, but when he was.
When they up and did the golden calf.
There we go. When they began to act a fool with the golden calf, and Moshe went up there and said, hey, it's time to slay some folks. You remember how many fell by the edge of the sword?
It was thousands, wasn't it?
2,000, I think. 3? Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and so so that's the significance of all this. The Levites, when he asked who was on Yah's side, the Levites stood up and he said, "All right, go out there and slay your brothers and stuff." And they began to fall, and that's when he said that for your zeal for Yah and His word, I will make you the ones who will work and do the service of the temple. And that's when they took over as the replacement. That's where we see that there was a special offering that had to be given for the firstborn, the redemption for the firstborn not to be into the temple. So if you wanted to reclaim your firstborn and keep him at the house instead of having him serving with the Levites and with Aaron, you had a redemption price for that firstborn that was paid, and that we went over in the book of Leviticus. So, and that's where we're at now. So we have where he's working with the Levites, saying what they had to do in order to be cleansed, and what were some of the things that they needed to do in order to be cleansed according to Yah.
Shave themselves, wash garments.
Yep. Had to shave and wash and cleanse himself. So, and that was part of their, what they needed to do to submit themselves to Yah.
And get the water sprinkled on them from the sin offering.
Yep. Yep. And had to have the water from the offering sprinkled on it. And so that's where they are and where we're at here. Were they to serve like we have people that serve now that come in and serve forever, or was there a certain time frame that they had?
They had a time limit from 25 to 50.
25 to 50.
They retired at 50.
Yeah.
But they still was hanging around.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what it said. It said, you still stay around, but they stayed around to do what?
To observe, because they could attend and guard, I guess, make sure the other folks did what they're supposed to do that came behind them.
All right.
Right.
All right. Bye-bye.
And that's the importance of it. Why do you think that is important for somebody to serve for a certain amount of time and then, in a sense, come off the battlefield and observe?
To prevent burnout and to bring a fresh new group in, so that they're coming in, the new group is coming in while there's still a group there that knows what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
and the older ones are coming off, making room for the new group.
Right. Right. And so then you have your connections between your elders and those who are coming into power and those who are looking up toward those who are coming into power. And so you have that succession and you have that pathway of how things work out. Do we have that in our communities today?
We should, but we don't.
Yeah. And so what are the results of that?
Chaos like we got.
Yeah.
Confusion, yeah.
Yeah.
Respecting the elders, or it just don't matter. Anything goes.
Right. And so when you don't have your elders there, you don't have any direction, no one to tell you what is right, what is, what should be done. You don't have any reference to anything. So now, it's like with the things that are taking place today in the world. You have the young folks who are going out there they're rioting and they're tearing down stuff. The old folks, you know what their mindset is?
You can't tell them that.
Well, you can't tell them nothing. We tired of the stuff too, so we ain't gonna tell them not to burn it down. Matter of fact,
No.
when you go back to 68, 50 years ago, we was the ones out there burning stuff down.
Yeah, well, we can go back even further than that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well,
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the ones that are still kicking, who should be.
There are a few still kicking that can go further than 68.
Well, I ain't trying to get nobody in trouble.
Yeah.
That we went there last week.
Yeah. You sure did.
I'm trying to keep everybody within a certain range.
All right.
But yeah, but you're right. And that's the purpose of it. You have reflection. I think Andre was touching on that a few weeks ago on looking back at, when we were pushing for the rights to vote, to be able to go up there and exercise those rights of voting, because we thought that by doing such would make a tremendous change. It's only when you have that opportunity to refer back and talk to those who were around during those times, during the times of the protest and everything else, that you can get to see, what were you looking for at that time, and did we achieve that? And that's what is lost here. Everybody wants change. Can anybody explain what the change is that they really want? With the issues that are going on today, is a change that you want just to arrest the one guy who kneeled on the neck, or is it all four of them? Or is it, all of these who have done questionable things? Is that what it takes to calm you down? And that is where the wise counsel comes in. Because we who've been around for a while, we recognize that, no, it goes a lot deeper than that. In actuality, what it is that we want we want all this stuff to be removed, sending us to prison. We want our people to be released. We want for you to stop redlining our communities to where we can't get loans to put in new stores. We can't get loans to upgrade our house.
Set up our houses and keep them.
Yeah, and so all that stuff, and so there's a lot more. That's why we have that. That's the importance of having the elders and stuff that you
want the basic rights of what this country is supposed to be built on.
That's right.
Freedom.
Right, and so when you have that succession with the elders involved, with the ones that are working, and then those who are also coming up to do the work, then you have the strength, because as we can see, there's a few of us who are 50 and older who are out there marching, but the majority are the young folks.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Why did so I wasn't born for the marching and all that, but why did they not ask to be classified as a human first before the right to vote even? And they still have that just baffles me now that we're still, after all these years, not even classified as a whole human, and nobody says anything about that. That just baffles me. I just want to clarify.
The 3/5 of a man.
Time, but I didn't have a voice at that time. But I'll let those who were around at that time who had a voice answer those questions. Go ahead.
Okay.
Well, I don't think any of us were around at that time. What time are you speaking?
Well,
I'm just talking about, instead of going for, I agree with the right to vote, but I think the more important issue would be for us to be classified as humans first, and then all the other stuff should fall into place.
Well, that got lost in the shuffle.
I got lost with the Emancipation Proclamation era. the Civil War era.
Hmm.
Yeah.
They focused on losing their property, and the powers that be freed people, but they didn't free them in maybe in writing. They maybe should, you're no longer a property, you are a human being. Is that what maybe you're talking about?
We were free historically. We were okay according to their history. We were free, but then shortly after that came a
But
lot
what
of
did
the
they do?
small systemic stuff. So like slaves who were free down south came up north because that's where all the factory jobs were, right? But
Right.
shortly
Yeah.
after that was the creation of workers union. What were those designed to do? To keep blacks out of those factories, right? So I don't know the answer to that question. I wasn't back then. I agree with you that um, we should have paid more attention to the more important thing. But I think the difficulty that we find in the black community, this is just my opinion, take it for a grain, is that oftentimes we're duped and bamboozled by this dangling carrot. We got the right to vote, but 60 years later, we're still having these protests about some very systemic things that we've allowed to transpire and not check. And I don't think a lot of it's because we don't have a passion or we don't have a heart for it, but I think a lot of it's just sheer ignorance. When you see what's happening today in the political system, neither one of they can't put any Democratic or Republican candidate in front of me that I've researched that would do anything for the black community. And the
Right.
folks that a lot of my generation are running to the polls for are the people that put us in this situation, but they're ignorant to that fact
Right.
because these things happen at least 10 years ago. Because if you study political history, the laws that they enact now, we won't see the effects for at least another two terms of a president. That's almost a whole decade.
Right. Well,
But
so
shame on us for not going back and looking at the history. That's my personal opinion. I think that's my people perish for lack of knowledge. And I think
okay. So
that's kind of why we are where we are.
I was thinking about the 3/5 human. If they would have changed that first, then constitutionally everything else would have fell into place. So we would have already had the right to vote. We would have
Right.
already, you know what I mean? I know there would have still been racism against us, but I was thinking like the 3/5 human, you just change that, I don't know. I guess it's just my ignorance on how it all.
You can change it, but that's not going to make it be, because you see how it is today. When we're not united, who do you see is a leader among us?
Well, I'm saying, like, why didn't our leaders back then, before they got killed, even? I never heard Martin Luther King talking about that. Civil rights, yes, or the right to vote, yes, or where to live, yes. Malcolm X, same thing, but never anybody talked about us being full humans according to the Constitution. That's what I'm just saying. I don't want to take
I
that
understand what
study
you're
away.
saying. So let's
There's a lot of layers of that, though. I think when you start bringing in like figureheads like X and King, like I
this
don't know. There's a lot of layers when
is
you get
well
into that.
before then, and I think we're in a sense bottling 100 years worth of time into one time.
Yeah.
The emancipation happened back in 1860s, and we jumped all the way to the 1960s. Put everything on.
And that emancipation happened for some people.
Right.
In the
Not all.
60s.
Amen to that.
Some
Yeah.
people, they kept that from.
Yeah.
So, and this is what the issue is, and this is where I'm even in leading to that question, and I knew it would jump to the south, and hopefully we can remain within our structure of our Shabbat study. But there's an issue with that, and the issue is, number one issue is that we're looking for someone else to give us what Yah has already provided.
Said he promised he was going to do. Absolutely. Yeah.
So the thing is, we're, Yah in Exodus chapter 19, when we came out of Egypt, what did he do? Let's jump there right quick. Exodus chapter 19.
Parted the Red Sea so we can walk out on dry land.
Okay, let's go to Exodus 19 before we just throw anything out.
Yes, sir.
Let me get my glasses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Where are we at? 19?
Yeah, Exodus chapter 19. Let's start. Let's start at verse 3 and read down to what is it, about verse. Trying to see. I think verse 8. So I
You
can
said
get
chapter what?
yeah, because I ain't got my peepers on. I know what it says. So.
And
Yeah.
Moses went up to Elohim, and Yahweh
Mhm.
called to him from the mountain, saying, You shall say this to the house of Yaakov, and tell it to the sons of Israel.
Mhm.
You have seen what I did in Mitzrayim, and I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to me.
Mhm.
And now, if listening, you will listen to my voice and will keep my covenant,
Mhm.
you shall become a special treasure to me
Mhm.
above all nations,
Mhm.
for all the earth is mine. And you shall become a kingdom of priests for me, a holy nation.
Mhm.
These are the words which you shall speak to the sons of Israel. And Moshe came and called the elders of the people, and he put all these words before them, which Yahweh commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, All this Yahweh has spoken, we will do. And Moshe brought back the words of the people to Yahweh.
Okay. So we as a people, according to this, and according to our understanding today, we're supposed to go and ask the white man or the United States or whatever it is that we call them to make us a special treasure, right?
Mm-hmm.
No,
No.
no.
We're supposed to
You
ask.
saying we supposed to go to the white man?
That's
What'd you say?
doing, right? That's what we're doing, right?
That's
Yes,
what we're
that's
doing.
exactly
That's
what
not
we're
what
doing.
we should be doing.
Wait. How do you say that now?
We should be
Slow
going
down.
to Yah.
Okay. What
Yah owns the earth, not
How
that
do we
dummy in
deduce
the
that
White House.
we're
the question came as to why didn't we go back and tell them to make us a whole man?
We can't do that.
And then it was about voting. Then it's
Mhm.
about civil rights.
It's not about that.
So why are we asking somebody else to give us what Yah?
But Yah has already
Yah
done.
says it's already ours. All we have to do is go to him.
So, that's like owning a house and somebody else has taken your house and somebody else is living in your house. And we go up there and say, well, we've been sleeping out here in the yard all this time. We built this house and everything else, and we know that you living in it and everything else. Can we at least come and sit on the front porch?
But we still have to make the mortgage payment, don't we?
Yeah.
I like that.
And so, and that's the concept that we have. That's why it is important to have the elders, because we, as the elders, those who've been through this time and time again, we recognize all this marching around. Is that going to get you what you want?
No.
All this burning down, is that going to get you what you want?
No.
All this tearing up
Not the little people are being
and all this
that
other
are told
crazy
that.
stuff that's going on, is that going to get you what you want?
No.
So we have
No.
to understand, what is it that we actually want? We want to be restored to being the treasure.
Our original state. Yeah.
We want to be restored to being a kingdom of priests. We want to be restored to being a set apart nation.
A treasured people.
Right.
We're going to the wrong people to restore us.
You're
Right.
asking permission from the wrong people.
That's right.
Right. Right.
Well, Deuteronomy 28 tells us who they are.
Nobody can do that here
Okay.
on earth.
Let me ask you this question. Billy. Have you ever been whooped with a belt or a switch?
Yes.
Is that
Yeah,
a
on
rhetorical
many
question?
occasions.
Hold on. That was a question for who? Who was that question for?
I can't hear. I'm just gonna be quiet. I didn't hear what you asked.
All right, I asked Milton.
Oh no, you didn't. Did you really ask me at first? Okay.
Yeah. Have you ever been whooped?
Yes, I have. You really think I'm that young, bro? That mama didn't
I just
help me with what she could find? Spoons, shoes?
It's a yes or no.
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately, several times.
Okay. So, do you wear a belt today?
Yeah.
Do you, when you see a belt, do you stomp on it, spit on it, try to cut it up, or anything else?
No.
Okay. What about a tree that has switches on it? Just ain't been cut off. Do you go and burn down the tree, dig the tree up, cut the tree down? Okay. That is the same concept we have. As you said in Deuteronomy 28, it tells who they are. They were used as our belt. They were used as our switch to correct us in the things that we were doing.
Oh yeah, I guess that's
Yeah,
true.
we keep going back to the belt and want to blame the belt for our problems. We keep going back to the switch and want to blame the switch for our problems, when the belt and the switch were used to get us to correct our actions.
Which I agree with, but then it leads to my next question: How do we?
The problem relies on who?
It's on
Well,
us.
it's us.
goes
It's us in
beyond.
our relationship with Yah.
Okay, then. So why are we asking the belt or the switch to restore us when all it takes is for us to get our situation correct with Yah?
Because that's what is being seen, and that's what they're doing. Like, what's his name? Al Sharpton called for this march in August
Okay.
when he was standing up there at George Floyd's funeral. He should have been saying, "We need to turn to Yah."
Okay.
I don't think he's capable. I don't think we'll ever hear that out that man's mouth.
Do we want to go there?
Yeah.
But I don't want to get down that rabbit trail about Al Sharpton.
We can. Let's take a quick detour to Jeremiah 23, so we can have an idea of who we dealing with today in today's world. Are these even the ones that we need to talk to?
Yeah, but okay,
Go
I
ahead.
understand
Go ahead.
that too, but that we go to call on Yah to restore us. But he also says that if somebody does something to you, you're supposed to say something.
I didn't say that we shouldn't.
Yeah, that was my thing. Like, how does that work though? Like, does that mean we just?
We're not supposed to be
that kind of.
silent.
Yeah, you can't be passive. So how do you find a middle ground between understanding that fixing your relationship with Yah is such that it would fix things, but also understanding that isn't part of that like are you saying it's righteous is not righteous indignation then?
Okay.
Like we have no reason to be mad? Do you see what I'm getting at? Like
I'm not saying that you.
That's what I'm grappling with.
You don't have a reason to be mad. The issue is simply this. It's like playing basketball, okay? We're all on the same team. And we're playing against them. We're down 500-1. And every time you go to shoot the ball, I block your shot. Every time I go to dribble the ball, Tammy goes up there and steals the ball from me. Every time that they go to shoot a shot, MD goes up there and sets a pick on us. And until we come together and play together,
we're always going to be defeated. It's pointless.
It's always going to be defeated. We can blame the judges. Well, he fouled me. He did this and he did that. But until we come together as a people, as it says, we read the first 14 verses in Deuteronomy 28.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's how you,
Yeah.
if you want to move from Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68, all you got to do is just move into Deuteronomy 28 verses 1 through 14.
14.
Just to change the address.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to make that change. You know, you have to go and as it says, as long as you do these things, all these things will happen. If you don't do them, we call them, it's
These are
been interpreted
curses.
as curses, but I call them consequences.
Yeah.
It's just like if you're driving in a car. If you drive down on the side of the highway, on the little side part of the highway, not on the main part, if you drive down the back alleyways and stuff like that, your chances are getting nails and stuff in your car, in your tire, is going to be highly increased. Is that a curse because that happens? No, it's not a curse. It's just the consequences of the things that you're doing. If you're driving on the side of the road where they sweep all the trash off to and everything else, it's more likely that you're going to run into objects and things on that side of the road than you would going down the main streets. It's more likely when you're going through those back alleyways that, you know, people just throw stuff out into, that you're going to run into things that's going to cause damage to your vehicle than you are just running down the main street where things are cleared off more likely. That's not a curse. That is a consequence. If we don't come together, okay, if we don't cry out for one another, if we don't protect one another, if we don't watch what's coming into our communities, if we don't protect our women and our children, if we don't protect our elderly, if we have no morals or compass or anything about the things that we do, fighting, killing, stealing, all this other stuff, as he said, these are the consequences. Somebody else is going to come in there. You and your brother are fighting amongst each other. Then eventually, after y'all knock each other out, somebody else is going to come in and pick your pockets. You know, that's just common sense. But we want to go up there and say, well, he shouldn't be doing this, but we still fighting amongst each other. And so this is the thing that we have to understand when it comes to the scriptures. The scriptures it explains it. We want to look at it from a certain viewpoint of saying it's this person's fault. It's not that person's fault. It's not the belt's fault. It's not the switch's fault that I got my butt whooped. Yes, that was what was used to whoop my butt, but it's not the switches or the belt's fault because I got my butt whooped. I got my butt whooped because I didn't follow the teachings and instructions that I was supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. Same thing here. As long as we do not come to that understanding that we need to go in and do everything that he's telling us to do, then we're going to always fall into those consequences to where we're divided as a people. We're not protecting our kingdom. We're not protecting one another. We're allowing stuff to come in. We're using greed and everything else to divide us as a people. And then somebody else is easily able to come in and whoop some stuff on us. The reason why the issue happened before, I'm not going to say it was 100% due to those people who were free's fault. It was due to the rest of us. You know, Juneteenth. Does anybody understand what that represents?
When the
Black
remnant
Wall Street, right?
slaves found out that they had been given freedom
And
2
how long?
years earlier.
Yeah.
It was about a year or so, was it, later that
It
they
was 2
found
years
out?
earlier.
Yeah.
It's on January 1st
Oh,
that they were declared free.
Right.
It wasn't until 2 years later, on around Juneteenth, that the last part of the slaves were actually free.
Mhm.
And so, you know, that's a 2-year time frame that those people were still in bondage and everything else because nobody went down there to let them know that they were free.
Yeah, we celebrate 8th of August in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's different in different places. Because as it trickled down, they they celebrate it at a different time.
And why you want to celebrate?
Well, if you,
Freedom.
yeah, I,
Freedom.
the,
Why really?
well, I mean,
And
You
you're
like
celebrating
freedom?
different days. Why?
Huh?
No. I wouldn't have lasted 2 seconds being a slave. But we're celebrating different days. We're not uniform on that.
well,
And we're celebrating for reasons that folk don't really know.
and that is part of the problem.
Thank you.
Can I
That's what I'm
read something,
saying.
John?
Go ahead.
So I just find this interesting. We were talking about the emancipation of slavery. We were asking all these questions about, when were we actually free, all this. And I've been thinking a lot when we think about like what's happening right now, like, because I keep thinking, how do we get back to this place, right? And the only way to answer that question is to go keep tracking backwards, right? So I started to go back to the Constitution and start to read like what are our constitutional rights, because I don't have them memorized. And the 13th Amendment says this, and I found it really interesting. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime whereof
Yep.
the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to.
Okay. So
When you
let me add on that. When you go back and you read the Constitution, and when it's written originally, one of them was all capital letters when it
Mhm.
talked about the citizens, and then I believe in the amendment they were lowercase.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
Indicates
And I thought it said
there
all men.
a difference between the two citizens.
absolutely, yes.
And so once again, we're asking someone else to give us what Yah has already given us.
Given.
See, when
Well,
you look at the 18, I believe it's 1866 or 1865, it's called the Indian Treaty, but it was actually originally called the Indian Black Freedmen and Former Black Slave Treaty. We were given the same sovereignty that they were given, but because we weren't united, because we didn't have any governmental institution on our behalf, we didn't know what to do. We were still looking for Maz and them to give us permission and tell us what's okay. And so they were like, okay, well, you a grown man, want to come back and ask me for permission? Okay, well, then I'll give this to you. I'll tell you what to do. That's like I said, that's like you having your house and you want to come ask me, what color should I, is it all right if you paint the front room green?
Or holding up that finger to go to the pipe.
You paint it whatever color you want to, but if you want to ask me and you want to put me in charge of it, then I'm gonna charge you rent to stay in your own house, but you'll still have to pay the mortgage. Everything else about it, I'm gonna still charge you for it. And that's what we don't understand as a people. That is why we have to go back to the scripture. That's why it's important that we read and all the different things that they're talking about in the scriptures right now, about this is what you're supposed to do, this is how it's supposed to be done. It's told for a reason. And in order for us to get back to it, we have to get back to the point to where we are in tune with what Yah is telling us, to the point to where we're willing to say, okay, everything that he's telling me to do, I got to do.
Yes.
Look at the history of when he told these people what to do. They did exactly what he told them to do. And that's when they were successful. Is when they strayed from the things. That's when things went haywire. It's just like with your vehicle. You was a used car salesman, right, Milton?
I never sold cars. I sold vacations with Dre.
Oh, okay. I thought you worked for one of them car places for a moment.
Oh no, I did financing.
Okay.
That's a totally separate. That's even worse. I feel like I'd have rather sell the car.
Not bad. But anyhow,
No, you good.
Even with that, if it tells you that you're supposed to put regular gas in the car and you put diesel gas in there, is there going to be a problem with the car?
Be a problem.
If they tell you to put oil in the engine and you decide that you want to put syrup in there, do you think there's going to be a problem with the way that the car works. You know, the thing is that the manufacturer knows what it is needed. And anytime you decide to do something contrary to what the manufacturer tells you to do, you're going to have a problem. And that's what we have to understand. This is our manual, as somebody coined basic instructions. These are the basic instructions that we're supposed to do, but we don't do them. We're in a society today that tells you that old school stuff doesn't exist. We're in a sense in today's world telling us that, hey, let the young folks figure it out because they know what to do. You old folks don't know nothing. And that goes with the scriptures also. If you say that you don't need the Old Testament, then how do you have any reference for the New Testament as to where you're going? And so that is the importance of all these different things, is understanding and knowing that Yah put these things in place for a certain reason. And until we get to the point to where we're like, you know what, regardless of what my viewpoint is, or what my feeling is, or what the dream is that I had last night, what so-and-so told me on Facebook or whatever else, let me go back and first do everything the way that Yah says it, and then see how things run then. Then if, you know, for some reason I think I need to stray, let me sample it. And if it ain't running as smooth as what it's supposed to, then I need to stop what I'm doing, because apparently that's not from Yah. But the thing is we got to get back to what the original things are. In order to fix that car that you put diesel gas in, the only way to fix it is to take the diesel gas out. The only way to fix that car that you put syrup in instead of motor oil is to take that syrup out of the motor and put in what belongs in there. And so that's the importance of reading the stuff that we're reading now. It sounds tedious. It may seem like it really don't have any place, but what it does, it tells us that if you follow the instructions, that is how you get out of the issues and situations that we're in today. And as long as we want to do part instructions and part what somebody else says, we'll always be looking for someone else to give us what Yah has already provided for us. You know, we're not looking for Yah to give us whatever. You know, why are we marching? To ask them to do what? You know, what he says, what the scripture says, what you're looking for ain't so high up that somebody has to go up to get it for you, or so low beneath the earth that somebody got to go down and bring it back up to you, or so far across the ocean that somebody's got to go across there and bring it back to you. But what you're looking for is very near to you. It's within your heart. Mm-hmm. So it ain't until it gets in our heart. That's what he talks about when he talks about in Ezekiel 26 and Jeremiah 31 and Hebrews 8, that he will give us that new heart, and with that new heart, he will put his spirit in it, and it will cause us to do his thing. And so right now, we just got to get to that point where we have that change of heart to do the things that he asked us to do. Stop asking somebody else. You know, I look at people who I've known several who would rather, instead of saying, let me push back from the table and lose weight, start walking and doing all this stuff. Most of them will go up there and do it for 2 or 3 weeks to show that they're willing to lose 20, 30 pounds, just so that they can go up there and have a surgery that's going to remove their stomach or remove their intestines or whatever, so that they will be forced not to eat and everything else, but they're not changing their eating habits. And yes, they'll lose a lot of weight for about 2-3 years. And then because their eating habits never changed, they'll start picking that weight right back up. And so that's the same thing that we look for as a people. Instead of us doing the things that Yah has asked us to do, we're asking somebody else to give it to us. But the thing is, even if they gave us everything that we asked them to do, if we don't operate the way that Yah has told us to do, we're going to lose it all again anyway.
It ain't gonna do no good.
It won't do no good. So if you want to be a business owner, you got to have a business owner mindset. If you want to be a king, you have to have the mindset of a king, how to run a kingdom. We still want to be citizens. We still want to be employees. And so we can't understand how is it that with a citizen's mindset and an employee mindset, we don't get the keys to the kingdom. We don't get the keys to the business. You're not acting as a boss. You're not operating as a boss. You're operating as a subordinate. God didn't create us to be a subordinate. He created us to be his people, to be his chosen, his treasured possession. He created us to be his kingdom of priests and a set apart nation. And we have to operate in that if that's what we truly desire. Otherwise, we're just asking somebody else to give us liberties to be able to give them to us and take them away from us. If we act up, they daddy now. But when we read scripture, Yeshua said to pray how? To say, our Father. So that's our daddy. So we're supposed to do what he says, not what somebody else says. And that's the mindset that we have to have. Sorry if I got too far off track on a few things, but sometimes, in these studies, we have to be able to touch on those things. So where we leave off? Numbers chapter 19? No. Which one? 9? Yeah.
We ready for 9?
Got to get back over there to where I was. I had gotten off on a tangent there. But it's good.
But it was a good one.
It's good. I mean, we have to understand that. And like I said, instructions are easy. It's like baking a cake. You can either take time to make it from scratch, or as we wanted in today's world, we want to go to the store and be able to just pick up a cake. Yeah, already made. And all we got to do is sit down and eat. But if you really want that homemade, down home, good for you stuff that is good for you, then, you got to take time to do it yourself. So who wants to read chapter 9?
Okay,
All right.
I'll do it.
Thank you.
And I hope you can hear me because we're kind of breaking up.
I can hear you.
Okay. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai in the first month of the second year after they had come out of the land of Mizraim, saying, now let the children of Israel perform the Passover at its appointed time. On the 14th day of this month, between the evenings, perform it as its appointed time. According to all its laws and right rules, you perform it. And Moshe spoke to the children of Israel to perform the Passover. So they performed the Passover on the 14th day of the first month between the evenings in the wilderness of Sinai, according to all that Yah commanded Moshe. So the children of Israel did. But there were men who were defiled by a being of a man, so that they were not able to perform the Passover on that day. So they came before Moshe and Aaron that day, and those men said to him, we are defiled by the being of a man. Why are we withheld from being near the offering of Yahweh as its appointed time among the children of Israel? And Moshe said to them, wait, let me hear what Yahweh commands concerning you. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel, saying, when any male of you or your generation is unclean for a being, or is far away on a journey, he shall still perform the Passover of Yahweh. On the 14th day of the second month, between the evenings, they perform it. With unleavened bread and bitter herbs they eat it. They do not leave of it until morning, and they do not break a bone of it. According to all the laws of the Passover, they form it. But the man who is clean and is not on a journey and has failed to perform the Passover, that same being shall be cut off from among his people, because he did not bring the offering of Yahweh as at its appointed time. That man bears his sin. And when a stranger sojourns among you, then he shall perform the Passover of Yahweh. He shall do so according to the law of the Passover and according to its right ruling. You have one law, both for the stranger and the native of the land. And on that day, and on the day that the dwelling place was raised up, the cloud covered the Mystrium, the tent of the witness. From evening until morning, it was above the Mystrium, like the appearance of fire. Thus it was continually. The cloud covered it by day, and the appearance of fire by night. And whenever the cloud was taken up from above the tent, after that the children of Israel would depart. And in the place where the cloud dwelt, there the children of Israel would camp. At the command of Yahweh, the children of Israel departed. And at the command of Yahweh, they camped. They remained camped as long as the cloud dwelt above the Mystery. Even when the cloud lingered many days above the Mystery, the children of Israel guarded the charge of Yahweh and did not depart. And so it was, when the cloud was above the Mystery a few days, according to the command of Yahweh, they camped. And according to the command of Yahweh, they would depart. And so it was, when the cloud dwelt only from evening until morning, when the cloud was taken up in the morning, when they departed, whether by day or night, whenever the cloud was taken up, they departed. Whether 2 days or a month or a year that the cloud lingered above the Mystery, they dwelt upon it. The children of Israel camped and did not depart. But when it was taken up, they departed. At the command of Yahweh, they camped, and at the command of Yahweh, they departed. They guarded the charge of Yahweh at the command of Yahweh, by the hand of Moshe.
All right. So once again, we see that God gives instructions. But in the beginning of this one, there were some issues that came up. Does anybody remember what those issues were?
Some of them couldn't do the Passover.
Some of them couldn't do the Passover. Does anybody remember any reason why somebody might not be able to do the Passover?
Well, they've been defiled by a man. And I'm not sure, but I'm asking a question. In that reference, does that mean they had touched someone that was dead?
Those are some of the reasons why you would not be able to do that. Maybe they had been in battle. Maybe they had there was several reasons why. Could have been having intercourse. They forgot what day it was, and all of a sudden it was that day. If you were considered unclean for those reasons. So it could be a number of reasons why that took place, why they were unclean for whatever reason it may have been. And their thing was, we want to do the Passover. Why is it that we must miss the Passover if we, if we, just because we've been declared dirty, a dead animal fell into the house or whatever the case might be. I had, my father passed away and I had to go and bury him, or I had to do whatever it was that made me defile. Why is it that I should miss it? But Yah, he recognizes that, and he allowed there to still be a Passover to be taken. He honored his thing, and he's like, hey, I understand that these things will take place. Somebody will die. It's not going to always be convenient. I don't want anybody to think that during this time right here, nobody's going to pass away, and so therefore I won't be defiled. It could be as simple as I went over there to wake up Reuben, and Reuben was gone. I touched him, so I'm defiled for whatever reason that you may have done it and not have known that. And so, like I said, Yah has made a way for that. And then he goes on to gives direction of when you're supposed to come and when you're supposed to go. How was it that the children of Israel knew when to move and when not to move?
By the cloud.
By the cloud. And so
and at night by the fire.
And at night by the fire. And so the thing is that Yah always gave them a clear direction as to what to do. So often we have today that was where I was going to go with Jeremiah 23, where you have those who holler, I had a dream, and all these other things as to their reasons why we should do stuff and things of that nature. And not to say that, Yah doesn't give young men dreams and young women dreams. But, he's going to give a clear direction for all of us to be able to follow him and not have to rely on somebody else to say whether or not that's of Yah or not. And so, and this is what we see with the people coming out of Egypt. You have to understand that while they were in Egypt, they were without Yah. And now that they're coming out, he's introducing himself to them so that they will be able to recognize him and his ways and his will at all times, so that there's no doubt, because he knows that they had some crazy stuff in them. That's why he had to defeat all those different deities in Egypt. And that's why he's defeating all these different deities today. All of us, regardless if we want to admit to it or not, we have a sense of this country's in God we trust. We still view it as a means of being blessed or not, whether or not we got it or not. We still let that have a lot of say-so in our life as to whether we go or come. If Yah tells us to go to California and we're looking at our bank account and our bank account says you got negative 25 cents in there, we're going to be like, well, I want to go. I just don't know how I'm going to go. And very few of us would venture to make that journey, even if it just came down to putting one foot in front of the other, because we would be more reliant on our resources as opposed to Yah. So, and this is what Yah is doing. He is purging the children of Israel from all the other things. He ain't saying look at the stars in the sky. Don't go check your horoscope. Don't go by the soothsayer and have them pull out the little tarot cards and read your palms and all this other things. He's saying this is what you do. When the cloud is there, I'm here. When you see the pillar of fire at night, I'm here. When it goes up, I've left. So come find out where I'm at. And this is part of the teachings and instructions on teaching the children of Israel to follow him. This is the purging that we have to go through as a people. Stop going to Pharaoh, asking Pharaoh for permission. If we're going to follow Yah, understand we have to follow Yah. We can't be calling back to ask Pharaoh for permission or if it's okay or what do they think. We have to be committed to following Yah. And that's the things that he's teaching the children. And these are the things that our forefathers are showing us also. This is how things are to operate. Anybody got anything else to say? Questions, comments, concerns?
I personally have a lot to say, but I don't want to take up the whole Shabbat. So I'm going to call you later.
No, go on, throw it out there now. And you know, it might be something quick. So go ahead and say it.
It's not quick. I have a lot to say, but we can talk later. I assure you.
Okay. All right. Well, assure me and we'll talk later. All right. Anybody else? All right. Anybody like to read chapter 10?
Now you all act like you didn't go to school and learn how to read.
That's why
Sandra and
Dang,
I was reading, but everything blurred for me.
I know.
Very loud. I have very loud background, so that's why I'm not reading.
All right.
Good answer, Cammy. Although I
Gayla?
heard you clearly.
You didn't hear my background? You can't hear that loud, the AC going?
No,
Oh, well,
Your
I mean,
voice
I don't
is
mind
clear.
reading, but
Okay, go for it.
all right. All of 10?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. And the Lord spake to Moses, saying, Make 2 trumpets of silver, of a whole piece shalt thou make them, that thou mayest use them for the calling of the assembly and for the journey of the camps. And when they shall blow with them, all the assembly shall assemble themselves to thee at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And if they blow but with one trumpet, then the princes, which are heads of the thousands of Israel, shall gather themselves unto thee. When ye blow an alarm, then the camps that lie on the east part shall go forward. When you blow an alarm the second time, then the camps that lie on the south side shall take their journey. They shall blow an alarm for their journeys. But when the congregation is to be gathered together, ye shall blow, but ye shall not sound an alarm. And the sons of Aaron the priests shall blow with the trumpets, and they shall be with you for an ordinance, for even forever throughout your generations. And if ye go to war in your land against the enemy that oppressed you, then ye shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and ye shall be remembered before the Lord your God, your Elohim, and ye shall be saved from your enemies. Also in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginning of your months, ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your Elohim. I am Yah, your Elohim. And it came to pass on the 20th day of the second month in the second year that the cloud was taken up from off the tabernacles of the testimony. And the children of Israel took their journeys out of the wilderness of Sinai, and the cloud rested in the wilderness of Paran. And they first took their journey according to the commandment of Elohim by the hand of Moses. In the first place went the standard of the camp of the children of Judah, according to their armies. And over his host was Nahshon the son of Amminadab, and over the host of the tribe of the children of Issachar was Nathaniel, and the son of Zuar. And over the host of the tribe of Zebulun was Elab, the son of Helon. And the tabernacle was taken down, and the son of Gishron, and the son of Merari set forth bearing the tabernacle. And the standard of the camp of Reuben set forth according to their armies. And over his host was Eleazar, son of Sedur. And over the host of the tribe of the children of Simeon was Shelemiel, and the son of Zuri Shaddai. And over the host of the tribe of the children of Gad was Elisaph, the son of Deuel, and the Kohathites set forth bearing the sanctuary, and the other did set up the tabernacle against they came. And the standard of the camp of the children of Ephraim set forth according to their armies, and over his host was Elishaham and the son of Ammihud. And over the host of the tribe of the children of Manasseh was Gamaliel, son of Pedahzur. And over the host of the tribe of the children of Benjamin was Abidan, the son of Gibeoni. And the standard of the camp of the children of Dan set forth, which was the rearward of all the camps throughout their host. And over his host was Ahiezer, the son of Ammonishadai. And over the host of the tribe of the children of Asher was Pagiel, the son of Akron. And over the host of the tribe of the children of Naphtali were Ahara, the son of Enan. Thus were the journeys of the children of Israel according to their armies when they set forward. And Moses said unto Hobab, the son of Reuel, Mennonite, Moses' father-in-law, we were journeying to the place of which Yahuwah said, and I will give it to you. Come thou to us, and we will do thee good. For Yahuwah has spoken good concerning Israel. And he said unto him, I will not go, but I will depart to mine own land and to my kindred. And he said, leave us not, I pray thee, forasmuch as thou knowest how we are to encamp in the wilderness, and thou mayest be to us instead of eyes. And it shall be, if thou go with us, yea, it shall be that what goodness the Lord Yah shall do unto us, the same we will do unto thee. And they departed from the mount of Yah 3 days' journey, and the ark of the covenant of Yah went before them in the 3 days' journey to search out a resting place for them. And the cloud of Yah was upon them by day when they went out of the camp. And it came to pass when the ark set forth that Moses said, rise up, Yah, and let thine enemies be scattered, and let them that hate thee flee before thee. And when it rested, he said, return, O Yah, unto the many thousands of Israel.
All right. All right. So here we have once again instructions for the people. And I want to thank you, Tammy, for reading that one. I forgot that one had was pretty lengthy and had a few good names in there, but you did an excellent job with all that background noise that we didn't hear. So,
I promise it's loud here. So
here we have Yahoo. This is something that we need to take into consideration. What was the first thing he was telling them to make and what to do with it in this chapter?
Trumpets.
Trumpets.
Mm-hmm.
Which these trumpets were for certain things. These trumpets were also the shofars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And these trumpets were used for what reasons?
To call the assembly together
And
to tell them when to leave and to sound an alarm.
And
for war.
For war. So in all this stomping and pushing the streets down with our feet and all this other stuff that we've been doing as a people,
Mm-hmm.
why did he say that you were supposed to do it during the time of war or going out against your enemy? What did it say that it would do?
Confuse the enemy.
Well, let's read verse 9.
And when you go into battle in your land against the foe depressing you,
Mm-hmm.
then you shall blow with the trumpets,
Mm-hmm.
and you shall be remembered before Yahweh, your Elohim, and you shall be saved from your enemies. We don't blow it when we go out in the street. We just go out there and start chanting whatever, the fun is telling you.
And so then we don't understand why we ain't making any progress.
Right.
Because we haven't done what the instruction says. The instruction tells us we're supposed to blow, so that we will be remembered before Yah. And so, and this is what I'm, part of what I'm trying to get us to understand. It's like having a gun. I can run out in the street all day with a gun and get ready to use it to protect me and my family. But if I didn't never load the gun, because I didn't read the instructions. If I don't know how to take, put a clip in it, if I don't know how to take the safety off or anything else, it doesn't do me any good, or it can become more dangerous to me and to those I'm trying to protect if I don't know how to use it correctly. And that's the same thing with Yah. We're doing all this praying and all the jumping up and down and boot scooting across the floor and everything else. But if we're not going towards Yah in the manner in which he says this is what you're supposed to do, then we're out of order. And because we're out of order, he's not going to work for us in the manner in which we are hoping that he would. And that is part of the situations that we're in. We're using all their mechanism. We're getting on Facebook Live. We're using everything that they're giving us to do to get the opinion and the favor of the world, which that's part of his program, because he said that the world will be judged. And it will be a righteous judgment. So that meant that they're going to recognize that the judgment that is given is righteous. And so, yeah, part of this has to take place. But the main thing is we're out of order because we're not doing it in the manner in which Yah has professed for us to do. When we go, not only are we supposed to blow the horn, but he also tells us in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, that when we're in the land of our enemy, we're supposed to turn toward the temple, the same way we do the Shema. We're supposed to turn toward that temple, and we're supposed to pray. And Yah would hear us, and he will heal our land. But we're out of order. And because we're out of order, things ain't working quite right for us. We're making what appears to be a little headway, but we can't understand why is it that we never get to the point to where, things are the way that we desire from within. And that's because we haven't wholeheartedly sought Yah. And that's part of what scriptures tell us. Seek ye first the kingdom of Yah.
Thank you.
And then
that's when things fall into place.
Right. Then all these things. But we haven't, this is his kingdom. This is the kingdom that he has placed us in. This ain't our kingdom. And we still so much like the children of Israel back in the day, our forefathers want somebody to be in front of us, to be for us to parade around and say, hey, this is our king, this is our whatever, and you guys got to bow down to him. It's not like that, we ain't supposed to have men. It's supposed to be Yah who we put before the people. So and that's what this is about here. As we can see, he even has order as to when these things are blown, who's supposed to leave and at what time. If anybody has ever been in the military, or if anybody knows somebody in the military, or even if you just played basketball, football, or anything, you know that when plays are called, people are supposed to do certain things. And when they run the play in the manner in which it's being called, then you have good success. And when you don't, if somebody misses their blocking assignment, if somebody, if they don't make the tackle or whatever it is that they're supposed to be doing, they're out of place, then that can be detriment for your people. So the same thing here. When we move, when we blow the shofar, when we're supposed to make our movements, Yah wants us to move in certain manners. Not everybody's supposed to move at the same time, and things of that nature. And that's part of a lot of the stuff that we see out here in the streets today. Everybody's like, oh, I went over here and did this and you didn't do nothing. But we're not coordinated. We're not on the same play sheet. We're not on the same game plan.
It's all about I, not we.
Yeah.
You.
Right. And so, and that's part of what the issue is. If we're focused on Yah and on the scripture and the things that He tells us to do, we know how to follow along. But we got to get to that point where we're willing to submit to the point to where we follow in order. But, that's the hardest part. Anybody else got anything to say about this one? So we're getting ready to jump into some other Hebrew issues that we got coming up here pretty soon in this next one. So anybody want to jump into chapter 11? Read that for us.
I will. Somebody else say I will?
Oh no, I heard a cricket.
That was me. I was going to say I'll read again, but you go ahead.
All right. And the people were evil as those complaining in the ears of Yahweh. And Yahweh heard, and his anger glowed, and the fire of Yahweh burned against them, and devoured in the extreme edge of the camp. And the people cried to Moshe, and Moshe prayed to Yahweh, and the fire was quenched. And he called the name of that place Taberah, because the fire of Yahweh burned amongst them. And the mixed multitude among them lusted with a great lust. And the sons of Israel also turned back and went and wept and said, who shall cause us to eat flesh? We remember the fish that were ate in Mitzrayim for nothing, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic, and now our soul withers. There is nothing except this manna before our eyes. And the manna was like coriander seed, and its appearance like the look of bdellium, resin gum. And the people went around and gathered it and ground it in mills or beat it in mortars and boiled it in a pan and made it into cakes. And its taste was like the taste of fresh oil. And when the dew came down on the camp by night, the manna came down on it. And Moshe heard the people weeping by their families, each at the door of his tent. And the anger of Yahweh glowed exceedingly. And in the eyes of Moshe, it was evil. And Moshe said to Yahweh, why have you done evil to your servant? And why have I not found grace in your eyes to put the burden of all this people, on me? I have conceived all this people. I have. Have I begotten it? And you say to me, carry it in your bosom, as the foster father bears the suckling to the land which you have sworn to its fathers. Where shall I get flesh to give to all this people? For they weep to me, saying, give us Give to us flesh that we may eat. I am not able, I alone, to bear all this people, for it's too heavy for me. And if you deal thus with me, please quickly kill me, as I have found grace in your eyes, and let me not look on my evil. And Yahweh said to Moshe, assemble to me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom you have known, that they are elders of the people and its officers, and you shall take them to the tent of the congregation, and they shall line up themselves there with you. And I shall come down and speak with you there, and I will take of the Spirit which is upon you, and will put it on them, and they will bear the burden of the people with you, that you may not bear it yourself alone. And you shall say to the people, sanctify yourselves for tomorrow, and you shall eat flesh. For you have wept in the ears of Yahweh, saying, who shall give us flesh? For we had good in Mitzrayim. And Yahweh shall give flesh to you, and you shall eat. And you shall not eat 1 day, nor 2 days, nor 5 days, nor 10 days, nor 20 days, but to a month of days, until it comes out your nostrils, and it shall become to you a loathsome thing, because you have despised Yahweh, who is in your midst, and weep before him, saying, why is it that we have come out of Mitzrayim? And Moshe said, the people in whose midst I am are 600,000 footmen, and you have said, I shall give flesh to them, and they shall eat a month of days. Shall flock and herd be slaughtered for them, so one may find for them? Or are all the fish in the sea to be gathered for them, that one may find them? And Yahweh said to Moshe, is the hand of Yahweh shortened? Now you shall see whether my word shall come to pass to you or not. And Moshe went out and spoke to the people at the words of Yahweh, and gathered 70 men of the elders of the people, and caused them to stand around the tabernacle. And Yahweh came down in the cloud and spoke to him, and set apart of the spirit which was on him, and put it on the 70 men of the elders. And it happened, as the spirit rested on them, that they prophesied, but they did not continue. And 2 of the men were left in the camp, the name of one being Eldad, and the name of the second Medad. And the Spirit rested on them, and they were among those written, but did not go out of the tabernacle. And they prophesied in the camp. And a young man ran and told Moshe and said, Eldad and Medad are prophesying in the camp. And Joshua, the son of Nun, ministered to Moshe. Of his young men answered and said, my master Moshe, stop them. And Moshe said to him, are you jealous for my sake? To that all the people of Yahweh were prophets, that Yahweh would put his spirit on them. And Moshe withdrew into the camp, he and the elders of Israel. And the wind went forth from Yahweh and cut off quails from the sea, and let them fall into the camp. as a day's journey here and as a day's journey there, all around the camp. And about 2 cubits above the face of the land. And the people rose up all that day and all that night, and the day after, and gathered the quails. He who had least had gathered 10 homers, and they spread them out for themselves around the camp. The flesh was yet between their teeth. It was not yet cut off. And the anger of Yahweh glowed among the people, and Yahweh struck among the people with a very great plague. And one called the name of that place the graves of lust. For there they buried the people who lusted. For the graves of lust, from the graves of lust, the people pulled up stakes to go to Hazeroth, and they remained in Hazeroth. Ooh.
All right. So, as we can see, as with Hebrews,
Mm-hmm.
imagine if y'all came and said, all right, it's time to grow. I'm gonna give you some manna to eat. I'm gonna provide you with the food that you're supposed to eat. Now understand, he is the creator.
Mm-hmm.
And because he's the creator, he knows what to put into his creation to make it work properly, to get you to rely on him. But how long do you think it'll take before somebody out there get to hollering, I want some churches?
Today?
Didn't take them too long.
Why did we leave? Back then I could go and get me a hamburger. I could go get this. I could go get that. I could eat this. I could eat that. And imagine being the one who's leading them out, who's following the instructions. Because this is the task that's before us. This is where we're at now. You know, trying to get people to eat the food of the land, the vegetables and stuff, to get out of all this other high processed food and stuff that they've been eating. But we got problems, you know. It's a problem now. It's going to be even more of a problem when things get tight and they don't have it. And we're going to be, you know, with all the marching and stomping and stuff that people are doing, when they go to cut off the food supply, how many people you think going to still want to stand with Yah at that point in time? You know,
None.
not that he won't provide them with food, but he ain't going to provide them with the delicacies of the king's table. Does anybody remember when there was a individual character of the Bible who decided not to eat the delicacies of the king's table?
Yeah, I can't think of his name because he
Daniel.
didn't show up.
What'd you say, Tammy?
Daniel.
Daniel. Yeah. Daniel. And he had three others. Shadrach, Meshach,
Meshach, and Abednego.
and a bad Negro.
Mm-hmm.
And they all said, we ain't gonna eat. And the guy who came to him, who was supposed to take care of him, he was kind of nervous. And he's like, hey, y'all gonna get me in trouble. Y'all don't eat the king's food and y'all become weak and everything else, just eating vegetables and stuff like that. You know, that's not gonna be good. That's not gonna look good on me. And Daniel said, hey, well, test us out. You know, give us a few days on this and see if we look like we're frail or anything else. And what they found out, that they were stronger. In today's world, there's a lot of teams out there, NFL and NBA teams, who are now going on in a sense, a Daniel's diet. They're going to a vegan type diet. They found out that they're a lot stronger. They're a lot more able. They're a lot leaner, jump higher, last longer, and everything else, eating the proper foods than they are of eating the delicacies that they used to think about eating. And that's where we're, what y'all is showing here is like, I done brought you guys out, brought you all this way, and now you're gonna cry for a hamburger. Now you're gonna go against me for some church's chicken or some Chick-fil-A or Pizza Hut or Red Lobster or whatever it is that you're crying out for. And go and say it was better for me back in the land where I was crying when I had all this stuff about the mistreatment and wanting y'all to come and save us. And that's why, I keep trying to get us to recognize these people were marching, they were doing the same thing back then that we're doing now. It may not be the exact same manner, but they were crying out against the Egyptians, same way that we're crying out now. They were wanting out, but then once they got out, they were wanting to go back because, didn't we have food to eat? Oh, I can taste it now. Ooh, I remember the contest, the contest between Church's chicken and chicken sandwich and Chick-fil-A. Which one was better? And
Popeyes.
another Popeyes, yeah, that's who it was.
Because churches is nasty, greasy to
Yeah,
begin with.
I know one of them. I didn't take the contest. I didn't do it, so I couldn't remember. It was Popeyes, that's who it was.
Popeyes.
Yeah,
I didn't do it lately. Then I had my fill.
yeah. And so, but that's the thing, and that's what we see that's taking place then. And what was y'all's response to it?
But didn't he tell Moshe that he would provide that meat, but he was going to provide enough for them that they was going to be coming out of their nostrils and everything else.
Right. That's right.
Do you think that Moshe said that to them?
I don't know. It don't say.
I would think that he should have told them everything that he said. And if he stood up in front of me and told me, yeah, well, you're going to get this meat, but you're going to get it so it's going to be coming out of nostrils and everything else because it's an abomination, I've been going the other way.
Till you smell somebody frying that chicken.
Thank you. Thank you.
If he done said it once, I'm a believer. All you got to do is tell me I'm going to follow the rules.
One of them chicken legs over there.
Nope, I don't eat leg anyway.
Okay, well, breast or wing or whatever it is.
I don't like the breast.
Whatever your
But if
specialty
he say
is.
don't eat it, I ain't eating it. I'll be happy munching on that manna.
You'd be just like Eve.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, if he'd have had me in there as Eve, y'all be much better off today. You wouldn't be going on it. Because when he said don't eat, I wouldn't have ate.
All right.
I told him a long time ago. Better Eve than his son.
We all like to think that we would have been that exception to the rule. But I'm willing to say I would have tried my best not to also, but like I said, when you see the grill going,
I don't get by with stuff, so I learned a long time ago, follow the rules.
Gets a lot greater than what we expect. And the next thing you know, like you said, you're eating it. And that's what I say. Tell them what you say, MD, about giving people what they ask for.
Hey, give them what they ask for, and it's not your fault they ain't happy when they get it.
That's right.
Yeah, because they find out that ain't what they wanted.
That's right.
Yeah, well, I didn't want it like that, but I gave you what.
That's what you asked for.
Yeah. And that's the thing that we have to be mindful of as a people. Even in this situation that's going on now, they giving us what we asked for. But you see to the extent that they're going to the extent where they're shutting down police forces and stuff. And you don't have
and what does that make? Lawlessness. So then they can do anything they want.
But the thing is that we can we have to have the mindset of, instead of going out there being ruthless fools,
Yeah.
Mhm.
to go out there and live by our own laws. What would those laws be? Milton.
Milton's on MIA.
Is he MIA on me? Okay.
They should be within what's in the first 5 books of the Bible.
Thank you. That's what we read. These are the teachings and instructions that we should be living by.
Because when you said go to what did you say? Go to Zechariah. What did you say? 19, Jeremiah 19. What did you say
I don't know.
earlier?
I was saying
Yeah.
Jeremiah 23, I think.
Yeah, you can see exactly who they talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And when was this written?
Hey,
Long time ago. That
Thank you.
was before Yeshua's time, and that was 2,000 years ago.
so you know it was there before the Constitution.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and that's the thing. We have to get to that point to where we're willing to fall in line with all the things that Yah has requested for us to do. So, does anybody want to read chapter 12, or has anybody got any questions, or any more comments about that? Because, like I said, that's a deep understanding. You know, we got to watch how we complain about stuff and the burden. You know, it's like now I'm providing semi truckloads of food to Indianapolis, Gary, Chicago, Fort Wayne, and the people, when they get the stuff, instead of wanting to give it out to the people for free, instead of them allowing other people that are in the community to be able to get some and take it to people that they know that need it, they want to control who gets it and who don't get it. And it's like, you know, why do we have to go through such craziness? Why is it that we just can't get along? Hey, I got 1,500 meals. You know, I got some guys over here who want some. I got some guys over there. These people over here, I don't like them too much, but they want to come on and get some. Let me at least give them some. So if nothing else, it can strengthen a stronger bond between us instead of us being separated. But that's not what they want to do. They're like, no, you can't have none. I got all this for my people over here. And most likely some of it, they end up going to waste because they can't give it all away quick enough, as opposed to helping these people out over here. And that's part of the issues that we got. We get to complaining. We want to take control. That's part of what we were seeing with Joshua in this text, that there was a couple guys that went out and got to prophesy, and people got jealous, like, oh, and Moses, you know, these folks prophesizing in your name. You want me to tell them to shut that stuff up? And he's like, hey, I would prefer for everybody to go out there and prophesy. You know, if the Ruach is on you and you're listening to the Ruach of Yah, go on and prophesy to the people. Tell the people what they're supposed to do. Moses was tired at that time. He's like, I didn't have my field. I need somebody else to come in this week, take over. But you know, that's something that we got to understand, is that it should be all of us who are a part of it. You know, when I look at the structure of how he's put together his the temples and how the people are only supposed to be working in there for a month or so at a time, and then a new crew is supposed to come in, and even those crews, you cast lots to say who's going to do what. So, you know, if there's a crew of 10 of you that you come in there, that doesn't mean that whoever's doing it is going to be doing the same thing every time you come in. Everybody, in a sense, kind of rotates as to who's doing what. And so that takes the burden off of people. It gives everybody an opportunity to go out in there and do the things that they're supposed to do. And it teaches you different things. And sometimes it puts you in an area of that you're gifted in, that you may not have thought you were gifted in. And it might, and I'm sure it'll put you in an area that you're not so gifted in that might strengthen you in those positions. If we always do the things that we like to do, sometimes we'll end up doing the things that we think that
Move you out of your comfort zone.
that we're the best at, and not always willing and able to follow Yah's lead. So, so being Hebrew people, guess what? We even got another area that we need to work in. So, and that's in chapter 12. So, this being a short chapter, I might see if I can read this one.
Jayla, you want to take it?
Oh yeah, I forgot Girlie's there.
Jayla.
So what book are we in again? I
Numbers.
heard chapter 12. Okay.
Numbers
Numbers.
chapter 12.
Ooh. Right. Got it. I'm looking.
All right.
There we go. Okay. Numbers chapter 12. It reads, "And Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moshe because of the Cushite woman whom had been taken. For he had taken a Cushite woman, and they said, Has Yahweh spoken only by Moshe? Has he not also spoken to us? And Yahweh heard, and the man Moshe was very depressed, more than any man who was on the face of the earth. And Yahweh said suddenly to Moshe and to Aaron and to Miriam, You three, come out of the tent of the meeting. And the three of them came out. And Yahweh came down in the pillar of the cloud and stood at the tabernacle door and called Aaron and Miriam. And both of them came out. And he said, Now hear my words. If your prophet is of Yahweh, and I will make myself seen by him in an appearance. I will speak to him in a dream. It is not so with my servant Moshe. He is faithful in all my house. I speak to him mouth to mouth and by an appearance and not in riddles, and he looks upon the form of Yahweh. So why have you not been afraid to speak against my servant? Why did I read that right? Why have you not been afraid to speak against my servant, against Moshe? And the anger of Yahweh glowed against them, and he left. And the cloud turned away from the tent, and behold, Miriam was leprous as snow. And Aaron turned toward Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said to Moshe, O my master, I beg you, do not lay sin upon us, by which we have done foolishly, and by which we have sinned. I pray, do not let her be as one who is dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed when he comes out of his mother's womb. And Moshe cried to Yahweh, saying, O Elohim, I beg you, please heal her. And Yahweh said to Moshe, if her father had but spit in her face, should she not be ashamed 7 days? She shall be shut out 7 days at the outside of the camp, and afterwards she shall be brought in. And Miriam was shut out at the outside of the camp 7 days, and the people did not pull up stakes until Miriam was brought in. And afterward, the people pulled up the stakes from Hazeroth, and they encamped in the wilderness of Paran.
All right. So, what do we see going on here?
Well, sounds like a little bit of jealousy.
Yeah. Little sibling rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
A race. Mine says Miriam was critical on basis of race.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Moshe's wife.
Yeah. They went out against his wife, but I don't think it was so much about race. Not in the race.
That's just in parentheses inside this book.
Yeah, I understand, and that's why I'm pointing out. A lot of times, due to the interpretations of those who've interpreted this, they want to make it a race issue because they want to claim that Moshe was was white and she was black. Now, note what it says here about what took place. She was a Cushite. Their issue wasn't so much whether or not she was black or white. Their issue was the fact that she wasn't from their nation. She wasn't from among their people. That's what their issue was. That she was, so it wasn't so much race as in black and white, the way that we want to say it. Because if the issue was that she was white, why did Aaron and Miriam have an issue? Because what happened to Miriam when she talked about Moses?
She got leprous.
It said that she turned what?
White.
Leopardess.
And yeah, she turned white. So therefore, if it was a white and black thing, if I'm white and I turn white,
Why was no?
Yeah, what the problem is, you know, and that's what we have to understand. So it's not a race thing as far as black and white that they want to interpret it and make it out to. It was more of a national thing, whereas the children of Israel were requested and required to marry from within the 12 tribes. You know, they were, you know, wasn't shunned against marrying outside the 12, but you know, the thing was to most likely marry within. If you did marry on the outside of the 12, a foreigner, as they would call them, or a Gentile, then you know, there were certain precautions that you would need to take also. So their issue was, you know, you even married this foreign woman, not so much that you married a black woman, but a foreign woman, and that there was issues with that. And so here what we're pointing out, I believe in the book here, is that Yah is taking into account all the different things that the people were going through. You know, he was giving them teachings and instructions on what to do and how to do them. He was telling them, you know, when they needed to, how they needed to move forward and backwards and come together and blowing the shofar. Then he had issues with them about folks complaining. And then he wanted to tell them there's issues with in-house fighting. You know, you fighting from within. You know, everybody needs to be on the same page. And if Yah shows a little bit more favor to someone else, understand he's still on the same team. So don't go up there and tackle your own running back because you tired of him getting the ball all the time. Don't go up there and block your 3-point shooter shot on your team because you tired of him always getting the last shot. Sometimes you got to learn how to pass the ball. I was sharing this a little earlier with my friend Kelvin. I said, if you look at Michael Jordan, he's known for his ability to hit game-winning shots, and he's known for all the championships that he won. But at least 2, if not 3, of his championships that were won by someone else hitting a game-winning shot. Steve Kerr, Paxton, and I want to say Horace Grant 1-1 on a last second shot. That they had to pass the ball to someone else. If Jordan wanted to win, and that's what they were saying, this is how he had to learn how to share the ball. He wasn't he was the go-to guy all them years. And when whoever his coach was, I can't think of his name, I can see his face, but when he came in, his thing was to do the triangle, and with the triangle, you had multiple people who were able to attack. And it wasn't until the end of that first year that Jordan finally decided to buy in to that. And that's when he could begin to see the results. Because before, he was scoring 60-something points and still losing the game. But it wasn't until he decided to share the ball with other people that he began to have those victories that he was looking for. And that's what Yah is trying to point out here. Stop all the complaining. Stop all the inner fighting. Go exactly down the playlist the way that the play is designed to do, and you will have success. Stop asking the referee to watch the other guy. If the ref ain't called it up until now, he ain't going to call it. Don't take yourself out the game trying to do that. And so this, to me, is part of what Yah is trying to point out. Don't worry about, who your brother, your sister has married. Don't worry about them because, and I'm playing on the team too. Scottie Pippen and them complaining that Jordan getting all the accolades and stuff. You're on the team too. You're getting the same ring that he's getting. The thing is, you got to learn how to play together and work together. And that's what Yah is trying to get us to understand. Yah is the one who's the coach. He's the one who's calling the plays. Let everything fall on him. Our thing is to execute the plays the way that he tells us to do them. And it's not until we get that in order and understand that we ain't the coach of the team that we'll learn how to get the victory. And so that's part of the issue that we have as a people. Like I said, there's a lot of inner fighting. There's a lot of complaints. There's a lot of not following the order in which things are supposed to be doing. And then it's not going to be until we get to that point to where we finally have an understanding of this is what it's going to take for us to win. And it's not all about me. It's about all of us. Anybody got anything else that they want to comment or add on that?
Can you repeat the last statement you just said, please?
Oh, well. Where did that start at? That was inspired. What? Tell me. Give me a lead up to that.
I'm not gonna lie. I just want the last sentence because I don't remember everything else, but it was something you said there, and it really sparked an idea.
Okay, you can give me an idea.
I can't. But what I'll say is this: I feel like people who are lost right now, and I say lost, even in people who believe that they know why they're doing what they're doing. Mm-hmm. You have to come within yourself to understand not just what is behind you, what has happened, but what is happening in real time and what will become based off of your actions. So you have all of this movement around you, mm-hmm. and it's creating momentum. Where is this momentum headed?
Right.
So you have a lot of people who are not taking accountability for not just their actions, but where these actions are leading everyone as a whole. Mm-hmm. So when you take time, like when you started off in the beginning of this meeting, you literally said, oh man, it just left me again. You said when people take time off the battlefield,
Mhm.
There are a lot of us taking time off the battlefield, so we see what's going on, we see what's happening, and we see what's being orchestrated, we see where there's organization needed, we see the work that needs to be done, but we're also tired, so we're regrouping. But
Right.
that don't mean that we're done, that don't mean we're out. It just
Right.
means that we have a different task at hand right now. So even with those people, you have to make sure that you're communicating with people at that level, at the level that they're at, not at the level that you are. There's compassion and understanding and wisdom there that we need to be dropping off. There's knowledge that needs to be dispersed throughout all of these communities, regardless of where they are, because that's the only place that we can begin to grow, that we can begin to advance. And there are a lot of people who have voices. There are a lot of people that others are listening to who are on the right track. But if we are not as a collective coming together to look forward with Yah, with our Elohim forward, we won't survive this. This won't come out right.
Right. Right. And that's I like the way you put that your spin on that, because as I tell people all the time, I'm not the say all end all. The purpose for this study is for everybody to have a voice and everybody to be used by Yah in the manner in which Yah uses you. Sometimes it's one who is being used to help to direct and to lead people. It's just like with we'll just go back to basketball. I may see you rushing down the middle of the floor, and my job is to get the pass to you. Now it's up to you to decide how you're going to shoot the shot, if you're going to dunk it or if you're going to pass it off to someone else. But my job is just to get it to you and let you go from there and do what you need to do to be successful with the play. A lot of times everybody wants to be that one in control of everything. And if you ain't doing things exactly the way I want you to do it or how I want you to do it, we don't understand. And I think that as part of the issue, in coming together, those people who are in the midst of the battle right now, and they're out there and they're putting their all into it, that's all well and good. We want you to get that experience. We want you to put your heart into it and everything else. But, you can't look at those who are over there on the sideline watching and say, well, we ain't listening to y'all because y'all don't know nothing. Y'all out the game. Y'all ain't even a part of the game. But it's like, okay, you got to get to where we at so that you can see what we see.
Yeah, we're supposed to all have that same goal in mind.
Right. And that's the thing that we have to have that value of each other. If we look at it from the part of a body, you have a left leg and a right leg, and they're opposite of one another. If you need to get out the house real quick, you can go up there in the left leg and can say to the right leg, and the right leg can say to the left leg, you got to do exactly what I do when I do it. Otherwise, something's wrong with you. And you can sit there and you can hop out the house. But if you're going to use the legs properly and in a manner that is most efficient to get out the house, the left leg is going to be doing exactly the opposite of the right leg. If you run out the house, you ain't going to be moving in the same direction at the same time and everything else. One's going to be going forward while the other one's going backwards. One of them's going to be up in the air while one of them's on the ground. And that is how things are to be utilized in a proper manner. Everything is not going to always be everything, and is going to be being moved and used in the same manner at the exact same time. But if they're used in a manner in which they work together, then you can be more efficient with everything. And that's what we have to understand as a people. You're going to have people who are out there marching at a time that it appears that you got people over on the sideline just watching. You're going to have people who are active where you're looking at those who seem to be inactive. But that don't mean that just because they're inactive that they don't have strategies and points of views that are useful, and that they're not to be utilized or considered at all, because they don't. And so that's part of what we got to understand as a people and working together also, is that as y'all was pointing out to Miriam and them, so yeah, I talk to all of y'all, but I don't even talk to you in the same manner that I talk to Moshe, you know. So don't get it twisted. Y'all didn't make that distinction. They made that distinction. You know, they were the ones that, like, you know, hey, don't you know, he talks to us the same way he talks to him. And he got this woman that ain't even from our camp and everything else. Oh, we got issues. You know, but that's the craziness of it. You know, we're fighting over things that don't really matter. You know, that has no relevance of anything. You know, you're moving out. You gotten out of your situation, and you're trying to get to the promised land that God's trying to get you to, and we can't get there because we too busy arguing amongst each other, being jealous. Oh, you know, we got on Converse, and you know, I like Nike.
Yeah.
You know, he gets to take the ball out and he gets to take the shot, you know. But the thing is, we don't recognize that we're all on the same team. And, you know, that's just how it is. That's how the play was called out, you know. And even on those plays where it was Michael Jordan, where Steve Kerr and Paxton got the ball, that was how the play was written up in the timeout. The coach even said, like, you know, he'd ask Michael, he's like, all right, this is the play that we have. Who's going to be open, Michael? He says, Steve Kerr will be. He said, all right, get him the ball. And so, you know, it's not until you recognize who's going to be open that you know that that's the better shot to have out there. And you learn to trust in one another and trust in your teammate. You learn to trust in Yah because Yah's the one giving you the instructions on everything. So with that being said, let us go ahead and jump to what is it we're supposed to go to? Zechariah, chapter 2.
And I don't understand what they're talking about in chapter 2.
What's that?
It says 2, then it's got 14, then it's got 10 in parentheses.
Okay.
Because there ain't no 14 in 2.
Sometimes that's it's a reference to how the depending on what book or dialect of the book that you're reading in. Some of them, like okay. You have I'm trying to think of the different texts that I got up there. Some of them are written and the numbers are different.
Okay.
But it's still the same thing.
Okay.
So let me, Zechariah chapter 2, starting at verse 10. Let me see if I can get my eyeballs straight. All right, we'll try to read it. Where we're supposed to go through 4 and what?
Looks like 7.
4 and 7? All right, I'll try to be man enough to see if I can handle all this all at once. Get my eyeballs together. I hold this up so that the light is reflecting it just right. Now I gotta find out which one says chapter 7, verse 7. No, verse 10, right? All right. Mm-hmm. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion. For look, I am coming and shall dwell in your midst, declares Yahuwah. Many Gentiles shall be joined to Yahuwah in that day, and they shall become my people, and I shall dwell in your midst, and you shall know that Yahuwah of hosts has sent me to you. And Yahuwah shall inherit Yehuda, his portion in the set apart land, and he shall again choose Jerusalem. Hush all flesh before Yahuwah, for he has roused himself out of his set apart dwelling. And he showed me Joshua, the high priest, standing before the messenger of Yahuwah, and Satan standing at his right hand to be an adversary to him. And Yah said to Satan, Yahuwah rebuke you, Satan. Yahuwah has chosen Jerusalem, rebuke you. Is this not a brand plucked from the fire? Is that what it says, brand?
Yeah, brand.
Okay. And Yahushua was dressed in filthy garments and was standing before the messenger. And he answered and spoke to those who stood before him, saying, remove the filthy garments from him. To him he said, see, I have removed your guilt from you, and shall put costly robes on you. And I said, let them put a clean turban on his head. Then they put a clean turban on his head, and they put garments on him. And the messenger of Yahuwah stood by. And the messenger of Yahuwah witnessed to Yahushua, saying, thus says Yahuwah of hosts, if you walk in my ways and you guard my duty, then you shall also rule my house and guard my courts, and I shall give you access among these standing here. Now listen, Yahushua, the high priest, you and your companions who sit before you, for they are the men of symbol. For look, I am bringing forth my servant, branch. See the stone which I put before Yahushua. On one stone are 7 eyes. See, I am engraving the inscription, declares Yahuwah of hosts, and I shall remove the guilt of the land in one day. And in that day, declares Yahuwah of hosts, you shall invite another under the vine and under the fig tree. And the messenger who was speaking to me came back and woke me up as a man is waking from sleep. And he said to me, what do you see? And I said, I have looked and see a lampstand, all of gold, with a bowl on top of it. And on the lampstand, 7 lamps with 7 sprouts on to the 7 lamps. And 2 olive trees are by it, one on the right of the bowl and the other on its left. Then I responded and spoke to the messenger who was speaking to me, saying, what are these, my master? And the messenger who was speaking to me answered and said to me, do you not know what these are? And I said, no, my master. And he answered and said to me, thus is the word of Yahuwah to Zerubbabel, not by might nor by power, but by my Ruach, my spirit, says Yah of hosts. Have I gone too far?
No, go to the next one through 7.
Okay. Who are you, great mountains, before Zerubbabel, a plain? And he shall bring forth capstone with sprouts. Favor to it.
That's it.
That's it. Okay, good. Because couldn't see anymore. All right. So, what do you think is going on here? What does it sound like? Anybody? Somebody? Everybody? Hmm. It starts out,
I don't have to explain it.
huh? Well, it's starting out where it talks about to sing and rejoice, and he talks about him coming to be in the midst of.
Right.
When did Yah first want to be in the midst of Zion? If we
When he brought out of Egypt, right?
right, if we go back to when he brought the children of Israel out of Egypt, he wanted to be in their midst. When he gave them, when in chapter 19, when he told them, if you will follow my commands, I will make you will be my treasured possession, my kingdom of priests and a set apart nation. He then said he was going to dwell in their midst.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until they went astray with the golden calf that he said, told Moshe and them, look, you need to move my tabernacle from amongst the people, because if I dwell within them and they acting a fool like this, I'm gonna consume them all.
Right.
And so this is why he's saying rejoice, because in the rejoicing, he's saying, I'm bringing back my Torah. I'm bringing back the commandments, and I'm going to restore my people to their position of being a treasured people, to being a kingdom of priests, to being a set apart nation. And he begins to talk and say, hey, just as Joshua brought the high priest brought the people into the promised land, there's going to be another that's going to bring them into the promised land. And yep, they're going to have an adversary that's standing there, and he's going to say, not I rebuke you, Satan, as we want to say, get thee behind me, Satan. No, but he said, Yahuwah, Baruch you, Satan. And so it's in that we put Satan within his proper place. Not behind us, but put him behind Yah. Because, we're known to go astray.
Many times.
So if Satan's following us, he's cool being there, because he knows we just as off as he is. But if he has to get behind Yah, then in order to get correct, that's what the rebuke is. Is a correction. So he's telling Satan, you out of order, because if you look at him, it shows Satan was trying to be on the right hand. The right hand is the hand of power. And he's saying, Satan, you don't belong there. You out of place. As we've been talking about, even during this whole time, we've been talking about people who have been teams running plays and everything else. The instructions that Yah has given us, as long as we are out of our position, as long as we are not following the play, as long as we're not executing and doing the things that Yah has told us to do, we are in the wrong spot. When we get to complaining and we get to going against one another, we are in that spot of Satan, as he is, as being an adversary to Yah. If you notice that when Yeshua spoke to Peter, and Peter was like, 1 second, he's like, hey, when Yeshua asked him, who do men say that I am? He said, hey, you're the son of the living Elohim. And then, Yeshua got to telling him what was going to take place. And Peter was like, oh, no, that ain't going to happen. And Yeshua had to say, hey, get thee behind me, Satan. He had to rebuke him and let him know that what you're doing is according to man, it's not according to Yah. And so, and that's what we have to understand in our decisions and the stuff that we're making, that we have to line up our steps in a manner in which Yah has called us to do. There might be ways out there that we look and see and consider them to be the proper way to go. And they may not line up with the word of Yah. But when we do it in the manner in which we see, then we're the ones that standing in on the right hand of power, saying that this is our way of doing things. And we're going to do it that way as opposed to doing it Yah's way.
Mhm.
First seek Yah.
Yeah. Seek ye first the kingdom of Yah.
Mhm.
And all these other things will be added unto you later on. But you got to first seek Yah in his kingdom. And if you're seeking Yah's kingdom, who's the king?
Yah is.
Thank you. And so, and that's where we gotta be, and that's what we gotta understand. And so, and that's what he's breaking down here. And he breaks down in chapter 3, I think that's verse 8. And he's telling Joshua, the high priest, he said, you and your companions, that's us, those who sit before you, for they are men of symbol. For look, I am bringing forth my servant, the branch. And who is his servant, the branch?
Is it the tree of
Yeshua.
life?
Huh?
Yeshua.
Yes,
Is
sir.
it the
Yeshua.
tree of life?
That's what he's saying. He said, now I'm going to make you a symbol and everything, but understand who I'm bringing forth. And so, and he's saying that when he brings Yeshua, then that's when everything is going to be clean. Once we understand that, and Yeshua stands for the Old Testament stands for the commandments of Yah being written in stone. Yeshua stands for Yah word becoming flesh. It's hard for us to learn to love something that is inanimate, although there are people who do. But there's a greater love for that which is in the flesh, and so, and that's what he's saying. You did the word before out of fear because of the consequences of going against it. Now you're going to do it not because you fear Yah, but due to the love of Yah. As we see Yeshua say so often, if you love me, obey me. Obey my commandments. And so that's where we're at on that. Anybody got any questions on that? Comments?
Nope.
All right, hallelujah. Let us turn to Matthew chapter 14, verses 14 through 21. Anybody want to bite the bullet on that one?
14 through 21.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
All right.
I think I'll take it. Who was that? When Yeshua came out, saw a large throne and was moved with compassion for them and healed their sick. And when evening came, his talman came to him saying, this is a deserted place and the hour is already late. Dismiss the throngs so that they might go in the villages and buy food for themselves. But Yeshua said to them, they do not need to go away. Give them to eat yourselves. And they said to him, we have here only 5 loaves and 2 fish. And he said, bring them here to me. And ordering the throngs to sit down on the grass and taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish And looking up to the heaven, he blessed and broke and gave the loaves to the talent, and the talent gave to the thrones. And all ate and were satisfied. And they picked up the pieces left over, 12 baskets filled.
Go on.
21.
And one more, and those who ate were about 5,000 men, besides women and children.
All right. So basically, what he's pointing out here, as we've been trying to allude to this whole study, is that when we look at things, we go up there and we see a crowd of people. We only see a few loaves of bread. We only see a couple of fish. And we like, they ain't, there ain't nothing we can do with them. Send these people home so that they, before it get too late, so that they can get something to eat. But Yah is saying, it ain't about that. He said, bring me what you got. Bring me what you want. And when you do that, then see what I can do with it. It's the same thing in the society today. The same thing with the marching and all this other stuff today. We're looking at it from our viewpoint as to what all we can do, how we can do this, and how we can go without doing that and the other. But Yeshua is saying, if you really want to make something happen, not only bring me this little bit of fish, because think about it. What did his taught ones think? What did his disciples think when they saw that they only had 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish? What do you think their mindset was?
Hey, this won't even go around the first row.
How many of his disciples you think was there?
All
Of them,
Or how many?
12.
well, at least 12.
At least 12. So what do you think those 5 loaves of bread and those 2 fish would have done among them?
Nothing.
Right. And you want to take what I got and put it out here and try to feed 5,000 men, not including the women and children. And so they like, hey, this ain't even enough for us.
Right. So they need to go in and buy some food.
Yeah, because I'm trying to make sure I get fed tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to make sure I'm taken care of tonight, and you taking what you want from me to give to them. And what was the results?
They had 12 baskets left over.
That's right. And so all that tells us is simply this. It all only matters as to whose hand you put your stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you keep the control in your hand, as long as you putting the control in somebody else's hand, asking them, please do this for me, please do that for me, give me some rights and give me some of this, you're going to always come up short. But if you put them in Yah's hand, not only will he take what little bit you got and feed the multitude, but when it comes back, you're going to have more than what you put out there.
That's why I wake up every morning and say, thank you.
Yeah. And that's what all this is about. Let go of your control. Put your control in Yah's hand. It may not seem, I'm sure the whole time he went up there and he was doing it, that they were sitting there like, all right, let's see, when is this going to run out? When's this going to run out? We should be out by now. And imagine the look on their face when the baskets started coming back. I'm like, well,
They got to picking up what was left over, so they thought.
Yeah. And said everybody ate and was full.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
all ate and were satisfied.
right. So what he's letting them know is the same thing he's going to have to let us know. And we have to learn is that he was able to feed the children of Israel with manna. When they got to complaining, he even gave them some birds to eat.
Till it came out their nose.
Nothing else, you know. You know, it sounds funny, but to me, when I imagine food coming out your nose, that means you ate it. And you upchuck that so much that it came out your nose as well as your mouth.
That ain't
And that's not. It's bad enough to get sick and puke. It's another thing to get sick and puke and have it come out your nose, because that means you got a fresh smell up in there, kind of the stings and everything else.
Yeah.
Happened to me with a bad night of wild Irish, but we're not going there.
They were sick of that quail. That's why I'm laughing.
Yeah. So I understand.
Yeah, I'll never want to see another quail.
Yeah, I overstand. Yeah, I was my last night of ever wanting to deal with some wild Irish, and so that was it. But you know, that's what we have to understand, that when we put things in His hands, He's able to make the impossible possible.
Yeah.
He's able to defeat the undefeatable. He's able to overcome the overcomable, and He's able to outdo the undoable. And so we have to trust in Him and give Him the praise, honor, and glory that He deserves. We have to be obedient, even when it seems like there's a better way for us to get it done, or that there's no way to get it done. We have to trust in Him and let all that fall on Him. You know, and when we do that, we just do our part, everything always will come out the correct way. So as Milton was saying earlier, you know, it seems like, you know, there's got to be more to it than just following His word. And I say, let's follow His word and find out. Plain and simple. Let's just follow His. You know, we've been doing our part all these years, and you want to know what? It ain't worked. So let's just go on back here and let's do the thing that the way it's supposed to be done.
Yeah, I keep saying, you know, they thought we coming under the blood. How is that working for you?
Yeah. It always sounds like, you know, it won't work that way. Okay, well, let's try it. I remember when Denise and I first came down here to Lyle Station to redo the schoolhouse and everything, and there were so many of them down here said, "Oh, we tried that before. We tried it. It just ain't gonna work." And we said, "Well, we haven't tried it, so let us try." And so then after everything got to going and working, and money got to coming in and everything, then, you know,
Everybody got interested.
yeah, everybody got interested, and then it became a different story. Oh, look what I've done. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's that me stuff.
Yep. And it will come. That's the rough part. It will come.
Yes, it is.
So, anybody got anything to say about that? All heads clear, minds, hearts.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll go to our Torah closing. It says, "And this is the Torah given by Moshe to the children of Israel at the command of Yahuwah through the hand of Moshe. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak
To Aaron and his son,
saying, This is how you
Baruch the children of Israel.
say to
them,
Yahuwah Baruch you,
Baruch you and guard you.
Yahuwah lift His face upon you, and
Show you
favor to you.
His face on you,
and give you peace.
Thus they shall put my name
My name
on the children of Israel,
Israel,
and I
And
myself
I myself
shall
shall baruch them.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. All right. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom.
Thank you.
So, Jayla, I'll be expecting your phone call.
All right. All righty. Sounds
right.
good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom. I'll be looking for you and Denise.
All right. As soon as I get a hold of her, we'll,
All right.
we'll give you a call and get directions.
All right.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.